You ever feel like no matter how hard you work, your bank account just doesn't reflect it? Like you're doing everything right, working, paying bills, maybe even saving a little, but somehow you're still stuck? What if I told you it's not your income, it's your habits? And even worse, most Americans are making the same 7 money mistakes without even realizing it. These mistakes silently drain your wealth, keep you living paycheck to paycheck, and stop you from ever getting ahead. But here's the good news. Once you see them, you can fix them fast. In this video, I'm going to break down the exact mistakes keeping people broke in 2026, and more importantly, how to escape them starting today. Look, the real problem isn't that people don't earn enough. That's what everyone says, right? If I just made a little more, everything would be fine. But think about it. How many people do you know who got a raise and still ended up broke? Or someone who earns a decent salary, but somehow has nothing saved? The truth is, income alone doesn't build wealth. If it did, every high earner would be rich. But they're not. Because money problems are rarely about how much you make. They're about what you do with what you make. And the system doesn't make it easier. You're constantly being told to spend. Ads are everywhere. Credit is easy. Convenience is prioritized over discipline. You can order anything in seconds, finance almost everything, and justify it all because everyone else is doing it. That's how people slowly trap themselves. Not with one big mistake, but with small, repeated decisions that feel harmless in the moment. Now, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here because I've seen this pattern over and over again. People who feel stuck financially usually aren't lazy, and they're not stupid. They just haven't been taught how money actually works in real life. Schools don't teach it. Most jobs don't teach it. And by the time you realize something's off, you're already deep into habits that are hard to break. So think of this like a reset. Not motivation, but clarity. Because once you understand what's actually holding you back, everything starts to make sense. And when things make sense, you can finally take control. Let's start with the first mistake. And this one is so common that almost everyone watching this has done it. Living without a clear financial plan, not a complicated spreadsheet, not some advanced investment strategy, just a basic understanding of where your money is going and where it should be going. Most people wake up, go to work, get paid, and then just react. Bills come in, they pay them. Something breaks, they fix it. They want something, they buy it. There's no structure, no system, just constant reaction. And when you live like that, your money controls you instead of the other way around. Here's what that looks like in real life. You get your paycheck. First, rent or mortgage takes a big chunk. Then groceries, gas, subscriptions, maybe some debt payments. And whatever's left kind of just disappears. You don't even know exactly where it went. Maybe eating out, maybe random purchases, maybe small things that didn't feel like much at the time. That's the danger. It never feels like a big mistake. It just feels like normal life. But over time, that lack of direction adds up. Months pass, years pass, and you realize you haven't actually moved forward. You've just been maintaining. Wealth doesn't happen by accident. It happens when money is given a purpose before it's spent. And here's the shift that changes everything. Instead of asking, what can I afford right now? Start asking, what is this money supposed to do for me? Because every dollar has a job. Either it's building your future or it's funding your present. And if you don't decide, the world will decide for you. So what can you actually do about this? Start simple. You don't need anything fancy. Just track your money for the next 30 days. Every dollar. No guessing, no assumptions, just awareness. Then, divide your income into 3 clear categories: needs, wants, and future. Needs are things you must pay: housing, food, transportation. Wants are everything else: eating out, entertainment, upgrades, and future is where your wealth starts. Savings, investing, paying down debt aggressively. Now, here's the key. Your future category has to come first, not last. Most people save whatever is left over, which usually ends up being nothing. Flip it. Decide in advance how much goes toward your future, and treat it like a non-negotiable bill, even if it's just 5% to start. What matters is consistency, not perfection. And once you do this, something powerful happens. You stop guessing. You stop feeling out of control. And for the first time, your money starts moving with intention. Now let's talk about the second mistake. And this one is even more dangerous because it feels completely normal. Lifestyle inflation. This is the silent killer of wealth in America. Here's how it works. You get a raise, a bonus, or a better job. And instead of improving your financial position, you improve your lifestyle. You move to a nicer place, upgrade your car, eat out more, buy better clothes. And suddenly, even though you earn more, you're still living paycheck to paycheck. Nothing actually changes. It feels like progress, but it's not. Because every time your income increases and your expenses increase with it, you stay in the same place financially. You just level up your spending, not your wealth. And the scary part is, this happens automatically. You don't even think about it. You just feel like you deserve a better lifestyle now. And to be fair, you do deserve to enjoy your money. That's not the problem. The problem is when enjoyment replaces progress. Because real financial freedom doesn't come from what you can afford today. It comes from what you own tomorrow. So here's the mindset shift that breaks this cycle. Every time your income increases, your lifestyle should increase a little, but your investments and savings should increase a lot more. That's how you create a gap between what you earn and what you spend. And that gap is where wealth is built. Think about it like this. If you get a $1,000 raise, instead of spending all of it, maybe you only upgrade your lifestyle with $200 of it. The remaining $800 goes toward your future. That's how you move forward, instead of staying stuck. And if you do this consistently, your financial life starts to look completely different within a few years. Now, let's get practical again. The next time you get extra money, a raise, bonus, tax refund, pause. Don't rush to spend it. Decide ahead of time how much goes to saving, investing, and improving your financial position. Automate it if possible. Because what you don't see, you won't spend. And once you build that habit, lifestyle inflation stops controlling you. You start controlling it. Now, here's where things start to get even more real. The third mistake is relying too much on debt, especially normal debt, credit cards, car loans, buy now, pay later plans. These have become part of everyday life. And because they're so common, people stop seeing them as dangerous. But here's the truth. Debt doesn't just cost you money. It steals your future income. Every dollar you owe is a dollar your future self has already spent. And when too much of your income is going toward payments, you lose flexibility. You lose options. You lose the ability to build wealth because you're constantly paying for the past. And the system is designed to keep you there. Minimum payments, easy approvals, constant offers, it all keeps the cycle going. So breaking out of this requires a different way of thinking. Instead of asking, "Can I afford the monthly payment?" ask, "Do I want to owe this money?" Because those are two completely different questions. Anyone can afford a monthly payment for a while. But that doesn't mean it's a smart decision. So here's what you can start doing today. First, get clear on your total debt. Not just the monthly payments, but the full amount. Because clarity removes denial. Second, prioritize paying off high-interest debt aggressively, especially credit cards. That interest compounds against you faster than you think. And third, start building the habit of delaying purchases. Give yourself time between wanting something and buying it. Because most impulse purchases lose their appeal if you just wait. This isn't about never using debt. It's about using it carefully, strategically, and with full awareness. Because when you control your debt, you protect your future. And that's where real financial freedom begins. This is just the beginning, because the next mistakes go even deeper into how you think about money, risk, and opportunity. And once you understand those, everything changes. So make sure you stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to break down more mistakes that are quietly holding people back and how you can completely flip the script on your financial life. Now, let's go deeper, because the next mistake is one that doesn't just slow you down. It completely stops you from ever building real wealth. Not investing early enough, or worse, not investing at all. Most people think investing is something you do later in life, after you make more money, after you figure things out, after everything feels stable. But that delay is exactly what keeps people stuck. Because when it comes to money, time is more powerful than effort. You can work harder, you can try to save more, but nothing beats time in the market. And yet, millions of Americans avoid investing because it feels confusing, risky, or overwhelming. Words like stocks, index funds, retirement accounts, it all sounds complicated, so people do nothing, and doing nothing feels safe. But in reality, it's one of the riskiest decisions you can make. Because if your money is just sitting in a savings account, it's quietly losing value every single year due to inflation. You don't see it happening, but your purchasing power is shrinking. So, while you think you're being safe, you're actually falling behind. Now here's the mindset shift that changes everything. Investing is not about getting rich quickly. It's about not staying poor slowly. It's about putting your money in places where it can grow without you constantly trading your time for it. And no, you don't need to be an expert. You don't need to pick the perfect stock. You don't need to watch the market every day. What you need is consistency. Because simple investing, done consistently over time, beats complicated strategies that you never stick to. Let me break this down in a way that actually makes sense. Imagine two people. One starts investing at 25, putting in a small amount every month. The other waits until 35, but invests more aggressively. Who wins? Almost always the person who started earlier. Not because they invested more money, but because they gave their money more time to grow. That's the power most people underestimate. So, what can you do starting today? First, understand that you don't need a lot of money to begin. Even small amounts matter. What matters is building the habit. Second, focus on simple, long-term investments. Things like broad market index funds. These are designed to grow with the overall economy rather than trying to beat it. Third, automate your investments. Set it up so money goes in regularly without you having to think about it, because consistency beats motivation every time. And finally, stop waiting for the perfect time. There is no perfect time. The best time is when you decide to start, because every year you delay costs you more than you realize. Now let's move to the next mistake. And this one is subtle, but incredibly powerful. Trying to look rich instead of becoming rich. This is one of the biggest traps in modern American culture. People spend money to signal success instead of building actual success. Nice cars, designer brands, expensive gadgets, luxury experiences, all funded by money they often don't really have. And on the surface, it looks impressive, but behind the scenes, it's usually a completely different story. Debt, stress, pressure, and zero real financial security. Because looking rich and being rich are two completely different games. Looking rich is about spending money. Being rich is about keeping and growing money. And the problem is, social pressure pushes people in the wrong direction. You see what others have. You compare. You feel like you're behind, so you spend to catch up, even if it hurts your future. But here's the truth most people don't say out loud. Real wealth is quiet. It doesn't need to prove itself. The people who are actually financially secure are often the ones not trying to impress anyone. They're focused on ownership, investments, and long-term freedom. So, the shift here is simple, but not easy. Stop making financial decisions based on how they look, and start making them based on what they do for your future. Because every dollar you spend to impress someone else is a dollar that could have been working for you. And when you start seeing money this way, your behavior naturally changes. Now let's make this practical. Before you buy something, especially something expensive, ask yourself one question. Is this building my future or just feeding my image? If it's just about image, pause. Give yourself time. Create distance between the impulse and the decision. Because once the emotional pull fades, the logical answer usually becomes clear. Another powerful strategy is to shift your environment. Follow people who talk about investing, saving, and building wealth, not just spending it. Because what you see regularly shapes what you believe is normal. And finally, define what success actually means to you. Not what social media says. Not what your peers say. What does financial freedom look like for you? Because once that's clear, it becomes much easier to ignore distractions that don't align with it. Now here's the next mistake, and this one might surprise you. Relying on a single source of income. For decades, the traditional path was simple. Get a stable job, work hard, and you'll be fine. But in today's world, that's no longer enough. Because a single income source is fragile. If something happens to your job, your entire financial life is affected instantly. No backup, no buffer, just pressure. And we've seen how quickly things can change. Layoffs, economic shifts, unexpected events, they don't give warnings. So depending on one source of income is like standing on one leg financially. It works until it doesn't. Now, this doesn't mean you need to quit your job or start a business overnight. It means you start building options. Because financial security today isn't about stability. It's about flexibility, the ability to adapt, pivot, and create income in different ways. And this is where the mindset shift happens. Instead of seeing income as something you receive, start seeing it as something you can create. Because once you think like that, opportunities start to appear everywhere. Skills you already have. Knowledge you can share. Problems you can solve. And thanks to the internet, there are more ways than ever to turn those into income streams. Now let's ground this with real action. Start by identifying one skill you have that someone else might find valuable. It could be anything: writing, design, organizing, teaching, even something technical or creative. Then look for simple ways to monetize it. Freelancing, consulting, digital products, part-time services. You don't need something massive. You just need something that brings in additional income. Even a few hundred extra dollars a month can change your financial trajectory over time. Next, reinvest that extra income instead of immediately upgrading your lifestyle. Use it to pay down debt, invest, or build savings. That's how small streams turn into real momentum. And finally, keep learning, because the more skills you build, the more opportunities you create. And the more opportunities you have, the less dependent you are on any single one. That's how you move from fragile to resilient. Now, here's the thing. At this point, you might be realizing something important. None of these mistakes are about intelligence. They're about awareness. Because once you see them clearly, you can't unsee them. And once you start making small changes, everything begins to shift. But we're not done yet. Because the final mistakes are the ones that separate people who stay stuck from those who actually break free. And in the next part, we're going to uncover those, along with the exact moves you can make to take full control of your financial life. Now, let's get into the final layer of this. Because the last mistakes are the ones that quietly hold everything together. You can fix budgeting, start investing, even earn more. But if you ignore these, you'll still feel stuck. The next mistake is not having an emergency fund. This sounds simple, almost too basic. And that's exactly why people ignore it. Until life happens. Because it always does. A medical bill, car repair, job loss, family emergency. Something breaks, something goes wrong, something unexpected hits you financially. And when it does, it doesn't ask if you're ready. Now, here's what most people do in that moment. They reach for credit cards. They take loans. They borrow from future income just to survive the present. And just like that, all the progress they were making gets pulled backwards. That's why an emergency fund isn't just nice to have. It's protection. It's stability. It's what keeps one bad moment from turning into a long-term financial problem. Here's the mindset shift. Stop seeing savings as optional and start seeing it as your financial defense system. Because the goal isn't just to grow money, it's to protect it. And once you understand that, building an emergency fund becomes non-negotiable. So, what does that actually look like? Start with a small target, even $500 to $1,000. Enough to handle minor emergencies without going into debt. Then gradually build it up to cover 3 to 6 months of your essential expenses. Not your full lifestyle, just the basics: housing, food, utilities, transportation. Keep this money separate, not in your main spending account, somewhere accessible but not too easy to dip into. And most importantly, only use it for real emergencies, not convenience, not impulse, real unexpected situations. Because once you have this in place, something powerful happens. You stop living in fear of what if. You gain confidence. You gain control. And that changes how you make every other financial decision. Now let's move to the next mistake. And this one is more psychological than practical. Avoiding financial education. A lot of people don't realize this, but staying financially uneducated is extremely expensive. Not in obvious ways, but in missed opportunities, bad decisions, and slow progress. Think about it. If you don't understand how interest works, you might stay in debt longer than necessary. If you don't understand investing, you might avoid it completely. If you don't understand taxes, you might be overpaying every single year without even knowing it. And none of this feels urgent in the moment. That's the problem, because the cost is invisible until years go by and you realize how much you've missed. Now here's the shift that changes everything. Stop thinking of financial education as something complicated or time-consuming. Think of it as a skill, just like anything else. And like any skill, it gets easier the more you practice it. You don't need to read 50 books or become an expert overnight. You just need to stay curious. Learn a little consistently. Because small knowledge, applied over time, leads to massive results. So what can you do starting now? Dedicate even 10 to 15 minutes a day to learning about money. That's it. Watch videos, listen to podcasts, read simple articles. Focus on topics that directly affect your life: budgeting, saving, investing, taxes, debt, and more importantly, apply what you learn. Because knowledge without action doesn't change anything. Another powerful move is to audit your current financial situation. Understand your income, your expenses, your debts, your investments. Because clarity is where improvement begins. And once you build this habit of learning and applying, you start making smarter decisions automatically. Now here's the final mistake. And this one ties everything together. Not taking action. This is the biggest one, because you can watch videos like this. You can understand every mistake. You can even agree with everything being said. But if nothing changes after this, then nothing changes. And this is where most people get stuck. They wait. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, more money, more confidence, more clarity. But that moment rarely comes, because action creates clarity, not the other way around. So the real shift is this: stop waiting to feel ready and start moving while you're uncertain. Because progress doesn't come from perfect decisions. It comes from consistent ones. Even small steps matter. Tracking your spending, saving your first $100, investing your first $50, paying off a small piece of debt. These don't seem like big moves, but they build momentum, and momentum is what changes your life. So here's what I want you to do right now. Not tomorrow, not next week. Right now, pick one thing from this video. Just one. Maybe it's tracking your expenses. Maybe it's starting an emergency fund. Maybe it's finally investing. Maybe it's cutting unnecessary spending. Whatever it is, make it real. Because once you take that first step, everything starts to shift. And here's something most people don't realize. Financial freedom isn't one big moment. It's a series of small decisions made consistently over time. That's it. Now, if you've made it this far, you already have something most people don't. Awareness. You can see the mistakes. You understand what's been holding you back. And that puts you in a completely different position. Because now, you have a choice. You can go back to old habits, or you can start building something better. And if you're serious about changing your financial life, then don't stop here. In the next part, I'm going to show you exactly how to put all of this together into a simple, practical system you can follow, step by step. A system that removes confusion, builds momentum, and helps you move toward real financial freedom. So stay with me, because this is where everything starts to come together. Now let's bring everything together, because information alone doesn't change your life. Systems do. Up to this point, you've seen the mistakes. You've understood what's been holding most people back. But knowing isn't enough. You need a clear, simple way to actually apply all of this in your daily life without feeling overwhelmed. Because the truth is, most people fail with money not because it's complicated, but because they overcomplicate it. They try to fix everything at once. They jump from strategy to strategy. They get motivated for a few days, and then fall right back into old habits. So instead of doing that, I'm going to give you a simple structure, something you can actually follow, something that works in real life. Think of this as your personal money system. Step 1. Control the flow. Before anything else, you need to know where your money is going. Not roughly, not in your head, clearly. Every dollar that comes in should have a direction. So your income flows into 3 places: your needs, your lifestyle, and your future. Your needs are your essentials. Your lifestyle is everything you enjoy, and your future is where your freedom comes from. And here's the rule that changes everything. Your future is not what's left over. It comes first. Even if it's a small percentage, it has to be consistent. Because this is how you stop surviving and start progressing. Step 2. Build protection. This is your emergency fund. Because without protection, one unexpected situation can destroy months or years of progress. Start small if you need to. Build it slowly, but make it a priority. Because once you have that safety net, you stop making desperate financial decisions. You start thinking long-term instead of reacting short-term. Step 3. Eliminate high-pressure debt. Not all debt is equal, but high-interest debt is the one that keeps you trapped. Credit cards, high-interest loans, these are constantly working against you. So your goal is simple. Reduce it, eliminate it, and once it's gone, avoid going back into it, because every payment you remove is money you get back every single month. That's how you create breathing room in your finances. Step 4. Start investing consistently. Not perfectly, not aggressively, consistently. Because investing is not about timing the market. It's about time in the market. Set it up in a way that happens automatically. Even if it feels small at the beginning, it grows. And over time, that growth becomes something powerful. This is where your money starts working for you instead of the other way around. Step 5. Increase your income with intention, not just to spend more, but to create more opportunities. Build skills. Explore side income. Look for ways to earn beyond your main job, because income gives you leverage. And when you combine higher income with controlled spending and consistent investing, everything accelerates. Now here's where the real shift happens. You stop chasing money and you start managing it with purpose. You stop reacting and you start deciding. You stop feeling stuck and you start seeing progress. And it won't happen overnight. That's important to understand. This is not about quick wins or overnight success. This is about building a life where money is no longer a constant source of stress, where you have options, where you have control, where you're not just working for money, but money is working for you. And if you follow this system, even imperfectly, something will start to change. Maybe not in a week, maybe not in a month, but over time, your entire financial situation will look different. Now, let me leave you with this. The difference between people who stay broke and people who build wealth is not luck. It's not intelligence. It's behavior. Small, consistent, intentional behavior. And right now, you're at a point where you can choose to change that. Not everything at once. Just one step. Because one step leads to another. And before you know it, you're no longer where you used to be. So here's what I want you to do. Go back to the system we just talked about. Pick your starting point and begin. That's it. No overthinking, no waiting. Just start. And if this video helped you see money differently, then make sure you subscribe to the channel, because this is just the beginning. There's a lot more we're going to break down, from building passive income to smart investing to creating real financial freedom step by step. And you don't want to miss what's coming next. So subscribe, stay consistent, and I'll see you in the next video.